Hello, and we are back with another live looking at new tech gadgets that we have. And we have two phones. And I guess if you are tech savvy enough, you know which phones I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about two phones that came out this week or were launched in India this week. So we have the Google Pixel 8 Pro and the Oppo Find N3 Flip, right? So these are two new devices, pretty much in the same price range. We'll come to the price range later. But one is a flip phone and one is the super smart Google Pixel phone. Before we come to the Google Pixel, let me start with the Oppo Find N3 Flip. Now you understood from the name that it's a flip phone. Okay, and why is it different, right? And Oppo has really tried to make this phone different. It's tried to make this phone different by sort of solving the problems or pain points flip phone users have had for a while. Now, let me tell you that there's basically 3 points. One is that let's look at the cover screen, and cover screens again, something very unique, not unique to flip phones, but flip phones depend a lot on. Now, what you will see is that this is a different cover screen because the cover screen is vertical. Now what happens when you have a vertical cover screen? When you have a vertical cover screen, this screen is similar in orientation to your phone screen, which means a lot of what you can show in this orientation can be shown here, and that is where Oppo has innovated a bit. I like this concept because technically, and I'll show you, one second, okay. They also have these wonderful animations, or these are these pets you sort of nurture on your screen. And let me open Gmail. So in Gmail, for instance, you are seeing a full-fledged mail option. You also get all your control center and your notifications and stuff like that, but it's doesn't work with all the apps yet, but quite a few apps are there. You can open mail, for instance, and you can watch it like a thing. You can even reply to the mail and the keyboard pops up. So that I think is pretty neat. What this also does is, since you are anyway shooting a lot of your stuff in vertical mode, this is actually giving you a vertical mode. It suggests that you should shoot things like this, so the camera is on the top and not giving you a villainous look because the camera is at the bottom. So this is how it works, and you can do everything you do because these are your main cameras. Hasselblad cameras, 3 of them. I'll come to that later. But it gives you that vertical screen, which means most of the stuff that you shoot with your front screen is actually pretty good to put anywhere on social media. So that is one big pain point this is solving. The other thing is, traditionally we think that a flip phone will have a smaller battery, right? Because of the form factor. What Oppo has done very interestingly is to break the battery, or see, your battery is actually a collection of cells. So it's putting some cells on one side and some cells on the other side of the hinge. So that's a pretty smart way of doing this thing, which means the battery life on this, with about 4300 mAh, is pretty good. It lasts almost 1.5 days if you use it reasonably well, which I think is pretty good. The last thing is, in a flip phone, or let's say even a foldable phone, people are not really bothered about how good the camera is. And it's usually a 2 camera setup. Here there is a 3 camera setup. So it has an ultra wide camera, which is 48 megapixel, a 50 megapixel primary camera, and it has a 32 megapixel portrait camera, out of which the portrait camera is what I really like because it gives you like a 2x zoom, and it takes you really close to the subject and gives you pretty detailed subject and a very soft bokeh. So overall, I really like what this camera is capable of doing. The camera itself, all the cameras are good. Nothing really exceptional, but you have 3 cameras here, and it has worked quite a bit on the detail and all of that. I don't like, for instance, the how Oppo tries to touch up all your all your photographs and make me look like I'm a white Caucasian. That is something I really don't like. So the 3 things: camera, the cover screen, and the battery. There's one more thing which is pretty good, is that, like, unlike the Samsung Flip, this one shuts completely. I can't see through it. There is no daylight coming in through this thing, because what it has done with the hinge is that the hinge actually dips into the screen a little bit and folds there, instead of the screen trying to save the hinge space. So that's quite unique. It's a different concept from what others are. On the negatives, one thing I don't like about this phone is that it has too many preloaded apps, which I think is very confusing. In fact, I was trying to figure out how do I get to the photo app on this one, the gallery app. So it gets a little bit confusing. And the pricing is about 90 to 93,000 rupees. Which I think was a missed opportunity, because it could have actually kept it around 60s or maybe 70s and kept it similar to the price of the Samsung Galaxy Flip 5, and that could have really taken on that space, which Oppo hasn't done. So that's the Oppo Find N3 Flip. So do we have any questions so far on the Oppo Find N3 Flip? Okay, so till we wait for the questions, I'll go to the phone I guess most of you actually want to see, and that is the Google Pixel 8 Pro. So what is it about this phone, right? I would say it is about Google. It's actually Google showcasing that it's not just hardware. We can do so much on the software side that it's using its understanding of AI to take a phone's capabilities to a completely different level, and it's saying that we don't really need to do it from the hardware side. We can do a lot of stuff purely on software, and it is doing on what software? Primarily on the camera software, nothing new. Google Pixel cameras have been good for a long time. It is now taking it to a completely new level. Other than that, what I would like to say, looks like a Pixel phone. This part of any Pixel phone is very signature Pixel. It has these sensors and all these things. Otherwise, it looks like an out and out Pixel phone. Just feels a little better to hold because it has slightly curved edges. It is powered by the Tensor processor from Google. Everything else is good. It has 2000 nits brightness. And again, it is a pretty decent flagship phone, but why you will buy this phone is for the camera. Now, very interesting thing on the camera app, what it's doing is, I don't know why others are not doing it. It just simply splits the camera into a photo and video, and once you click on either, all the settings change accordingly, which I thought is a very interesting way to approach this thing. Again, a lot of stuff that you can do with this camera happens post. It's a pretty good camera while you're shooting. For instance, it has this cinematic blur, which I really like. It gives a very good bokeh kind of feeling. In the camera thing, there's an action pan when you shoot a subject that's moving. Then it gives you a very good feel, like in a sports shot. Long exposure where you can create these light trails and stuff like that. Portrait shots are pretty good. Night side is pretty good, almost like you switch off the lights and it'll still be able to capture something. But what it does really well is that once you have shot something, you can process that image pretty significantly, and you can fix a lot of things in post. For instance, let me show you a couple of things it can do. Okay, now I've taken a photo. I've gone into edit, and I'm clicking on tools. I'm using the magic eraser. Okay, so it is now reading the image to figure out what are the things I could do here. So it is telling me, okay, you can erase this biker, for instance. So I'm doing erase all, and the biker is gone, right? So it's not as easy as removing a biker. It's removed the biker and it's patched up the part where the biker was. Does a pretty good job. It's not perfect. Yeah, so it does this kind of a thing. It looks like a bad concrete job on your footpath. So these kind of things it can do. It can remove a lot of stuff that's not there. It can remove a lot of stuff from an image. It similarly has a camouflage effect. You can hide things which are in the image. Let me come back. Okay. Now, some of the other things which most of the other phone cameras are unable to do, for instance, If you're taking a portrait, it can make only you stand out in color, and the and everything else will be in. Let me try and pick out a portrait for you. Okay, 1 second. Okay, let me go into photos directly. Okay, yeah, that's my son. Okay, so let me take a portrait. I can go into edit. Now you'll see contextually the suggestions change because it's a portrait. Now I'm using color pop, so you'll see only I am in color, everything else has become black and white. Or you can just switch it to black and white portrait, which is not a big deal, but you can do enhance, where it gives it a very good feel. You can feel dynamic. You can use a portrait thing. So a lot of things that you would maybe do in Photoshop or would take you a lot of time to do. A lot of these things are now fixed here. And on the phone, again, this is happening on the phone. I don't have a SIM or Wi-Fi connected to this phone right now. So the phone is capable enough of doing all this right on the phone. There is one more very interesting thing that it does. Let me try and show that to you also. Again, it's all about post, right? Now, I shot this video a few days back. I think you can hear the noise of the traffic and all of that, right? Now, there is something here called, it erases the audio. So this is how it sounds, how the video sounds after I've used that effect. So it's taken the noise off, it gives you only very subject specific audio. So it's taken all the ambient noise of Noida out of the video. So some of these things are quite fascinating. The camera is pretty good in low light. But other than that, I would say this is a pretty decent phone, and just about that. So this phone costs you about 1,10,000 rupees. For that, I would say it's a pretty good phone, but you will buy this primarily for the smartness of the camera. And this AI elements come in for a few of the other things also. There is one, for instance, when you are taking a group selfie and you're taking a burst of a lot of selfies, then after, so you say that, okay, your friend's face looks good in one of the selfies but not in the other, where everybody else is looking good, you can just flip the face if you want. And then since this is AI integrated, when you're replying to a mail, when you're replying to a message, you get suggestions on what the reply can be. Again, that's not really top of the line stuff anymore, because you can do, you have many apps that let you do it and all of that. But pretty good phone, but you buy this primarily for the camera. Battery life is also pretty decent. Now, do we have any questions so far? Okay, that is pretty good. So that's it. Two very interesting phones. So who should buy it? You buy the Google Pixel, again, if you're looking for a camera where you can really play around and you really end up taking pictures where you want to remove people from the frame. If you have those kind of pictures, then this is a super camera to buy. I would actually say this is a camera with a phone. This is primarily a camera, that too a smart camera. Again, if you're bored of a lot of the flip phones, this is a good option for you to look at. I think it is a little bit pricey even then. Still, it is unique. It has a pretty good camera. It has this very unique front cover, which is vertical. And I couldn't find any major boo-boos with this phone, other than the fact that it has a lot of apps which you will have to spend some time deleting. If you have any other questions, you can pop it in comments and we'll try and answer it. Our review of the Oppo Find N3 Flip is already live, and our review of the Google Pixel 8 Pro will be live this weekend. I'm sure you'll come and check it out.